Greetings, everyone. Today we're going to talk about copy editing and proofreading. This is an unspoken job of a graphic designer is to do your layouts, print it out, and before you make any presentation, formal or informal, you proofread your documents. You are the creator of the document. You work with the documents. You know the ins and outs of how to do the layout. And oftentimes there's sometimes some errors on your part or on contributor's part that you need to catch. You should always have somebody else proofread a document, not just yourself, because spending hours looking at this document, you'll be tired of it, but have somebody else look at it. But you also should look at it for yourself at some point just to make sure you catch any errors. There's a lot of text here that can kind of go through the process of how to proofread and the responsibilities and the mechanics for doing so. There is its own language within the copy editing and proofreading world. So this document will outline that for you. And, generally, it's best to proofread a document on paper because notes can be written. Oftentimes, this is passed to several different folks to copy edit or proofread. And what you're looking for is, spelling errors, common, spelling errors primarily, but then also a lot of times writers will use the printed process, and editors will make notes on there by, sometimes saying like adding different words or rewriting a sentence to make it sound better. So, part of that, that deep level of copy editing is not necessarily your process. But ideally, you want to go through and definitely catch the spelling errors, or if you missed a period. Sometimes I forget, I actually insert an extra V in words, usually because I'm doing the cut-paste method, and sometimes I hit the V before I hit the Command V. So those are things you want to make sure that you catch, because catching those errors before you make a formal or informal presentation reflects on your process and your attention to detail. So that's pretty much one of the things that you want to make sure that you kind of make sure that you look good by catching a lot of those errors up front. If you're handwriting on a document, there's several pages here that outline the common uses of the symbols. It's all handwritten symbols, but it's a language that is really just within the copy editing and proofreading world. Oftentimes I use the delete a lot in order to delete an extra line or extra V that I get sometimes. It tells you how to move lines of text, and also kind of gives you, if you're going to use a subscript, lower script, when to insert a semicolon. This is the important one here. The most important ones I think you should also always learn is the delete, the insert, because if you want to insert a new letter or extra words or an extra sentence, if you need to add a space, or if you're transposing words. This goes pretty deep, and it's something you might want to have on hand. I provided this so you can have it on hand if you need to. Other things that might come in play if you're doing a handwritten version is like this one here, which is set in bold. So if a text needs to be in bold, you would actually put a BF next to it and then put a circle around it, and that associates what's going to be in bold. Italics is also part of this layout as well. And then at the back, or the last page, never proofread your own copy. Not first, but at least somewhere along the way, you do need to proofread it, because if you're the only one on it, you should proofread it just for your own errors. But ultimately, anything you write, you should always let somebody else proofread. Read everything in the copy straight from the beginning to the end. Don't skip around. Just because you think it's spelled properly doesn't necessarily mean it is spelled properly. You want to catch those things. Sometimes we read copies backwards in order to catch spelling errors. Read the pages out loud. It's a much different experience and easier to catch things when you read it out loud. Again, oftentimes a document is checked by multiple people, so make sure you use initials. A common practice that we did, or I did, was I would use a different color pen and I would write my name in that color of the pen, so it's known that I'm proofreading it. Other folks would just write their initials on it. But a lot of times, if you just it's just about organization. But then also, there's other rules or suggestions for making a proofreading more effortlessly. Oh, this is the other one I'd like to feature here, the wrong font, WF with a circle around it, and it kind of highlights, kind of underline it to highlight which is the wrong font. But today we're going to actually look at proofreading and editing using Adobe Acrobat. Acrobat is basically a tool to read any PDF, and Acrobat has a full range of tools in order to facilitate the copy editing purpose. So if you have Acrobat open and come over here, there's a one that says comments. PDFs are very commonly used for proofreading. I do it more increasingly over the time. If I don't have, but ultimately, before I send this to a project to a client, I would print it out and read it, send them the PDF so they can make the edits, and then send it back to me. Once you have the comment panel open, it opens up with a side panel. And up at the top here, there's a toolbar here for a number of different tools that you can add in here. There are a time where you can actually edit the text in a PDF, but most of the time it's fairly locked. But the most common one that a lot of people use is the comment bubble or the sticky note. And simply just put a sticky note in there. You just basically click the tool and then find where you want to put the sticky note. And let's say I put it right here. And the comment box is where you can actually enter the comment here, or you can enter the comment. Oops, nope. Used to have a pop-out, but now they changed it. You can put your comment here, say like this is the delete sign, and then you can say post. And then when you save the document, it can be sent back to the recipient with all the sticky notes and comments inside of it, and then each person can go through it and either make a reply, or if in this case, if you're doing an editing process, you would go to the document, the work file, and then have the InDesign file open at the same time, and then basically go through the work document and the Acrobat file, the PDF file, and fix all the errors. This is a very efficient way of doing things. It doesn't solve everything, but it, sometimes I've seen people put a comment here as like, rewrite. You can say rewrite sentence, and then you can come, put in there like, this is the new line of text. And you can say rewrite the sentence with this, and then simply you can just cut and paste what the comments are. So kind of, it's a very useful tool, but also it does require a little bit of coordination sometimes between you and the client or whoever proofread it to make sure that the corrections are entered properly. But that's a simple way of using Adobe Acrobat to proofread a document. Let me know if you have any questions